Hi everyone, welcome back to Bumble Stitches episode 9. My name's Nicola. This is my little podcast about knitting, actually a little bit of sewing this week for a change, and just all the lovely yarny things. So welcome back. If you are a new subscriber, a big welcome to you. There's been a huge upsurge in subscribers, and there's a bit more news about that coming up as well, about all you lovely new subscribers. And if you're returning, then hi, thanks for coming back to see me again. It's been 3 weeks, so I feel a little bit rusty. I was a little bit apprehensive about today's podcast. I was equally excited and nervous about filming today, but let's just jump straight in and see what I've been up to. I'll just let you know before we carry on that we do have a Ravelry group, which is the Bumble Stitches podcast group, and lots of lovely people have been joining in and introducing themselves, and it's also where I put the show notes for the podcast episode. So everything that I've been working on, any pattern details, yarn details, anything like that will be popped into the show notes will be on the Ravelry group. So please come along and join on there if you're not already a member of Ravelry. It's really simple to do. There's no joining fee or anything like that. You just join up, search on the groups tab for Bumble Stitches podcast, and you'll find us there, and we'll all be waiting to have a chat and see how you are. So first things first, finished objects. You can see I'm wearing my new shawl, which is the test knit that I was doing. Did it over the course of about 2 weeks at the beginning of February, and this is by one of my favourite designers at the moment, which is Parisa Landluft. The lady behind that is a lovely lady called Sue, and I believe she's based in Germany. And this was a little test knit that I decided to do. She put a call out on Instagram. I already had far too many whips going on, but I couldn't resist it because I like the pattern so much and felt it worked really well with the hedgerow yarns that I had in my stash. So I'll pop it off so that you can have a proper look. It's a bit warm anyway. Okay, so it's a triangular shawl, as you can see. It's a fair size. The pattern was actually written for double knit yarn, and I did ask Sue if knitting it in a fingering weight would be okay, and she said yeah, it would be really cool to see how the pattern worked with fingering weight. And as you can see, now it's been blocked, it's a really nice size. It's just right for sort of wearing in that sort of scarf style around your neck. The double knit versions have knitted up obviously quite a bit bigger, but you can see the pattern is really lovely. It's nice, straightforward, not too tricky a knit. It's a knit that you can do while you're doing other things. Started out with just sort of like a garter stitch section, then onto some various stockinette stripes, a bit more garter stitch, a little bit more pattern detail here, and just down, making use of those different coloured yarns. So there's 3 colours in here. Obviously this is the graphite, which was they're all hedgerow yarns. So this is the graphite here. The speckled yarn, which you can see in more detail here, was a one-of-a-kind, that's a bit better, a one-of-a-kind tweed base from Jane at Hedgerow, and this beautiful chartreuse green. Again, the green and the graphite, chartreuse and the graphite are on her silk and merino base. But it's all 4-ply fingering weight yarn. I think it's knitted up into a really stunning shawl. So I'm just going to hold it right up so you can see. I'll just disappear behind the shawl for a moment, and down to a lovely point there. I also learnt a new technique while I was doing this test knit, which is the bicord bind off. So I don't know if you can see the bind off there and how beautifully that works. And I hadn't done that before, but the instructions on the pattern made it really, really simple. And it's always nice to have a good blend of straightforward knitting that you can get on and do, but a little bit of a challenge thrown in if it's something you haven't done before. I think it finishes the shawl off really, really nicely. So this pattern is now live on Ravelry, and I believe I'm filming this today on Sunday the 25th of February. If you are watching it in the evening, because I'm hoping to get it all uploaded and live on today, by today, the pattern is going to be free until midnight on the 25th of February. So if you do manage to catch up with this podcast in time, pop along to Ravelry, check out, the pattern is called Daniza, which is Daniza. I'll put links in the, I'll make a note in the show notes on the Ravelry group. It's by Parisa Landloft. It's free until midnight on the 25th of February. After that, it is paid for, but I really recommend it as a nice, relaxing knit. I think it gives a really nice shaped shawl. So that's a finished object for this week, which I'm really, really pleased with. And it made good use of the yarn, because if you remember from a few podcasts ago, I was considering these three yarns for the not windswept, the snow melt, and it was something to do with the weather, the snow melt mystery knit along by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. And I had considered these three yarns for that, but I started it and didn't really like the way they were working. But I think these yarns were waiting for this pattern, and I think they really work well. So I'm very, very pleased to have it off the needles, pleased to have done it in the deadline. So yeah, it wasn't such a bad decision to do the test knit after all. So that's my finished object. Now, because I've spent a lot of time working on that, it's meant that the other knitting has really not come on as well as I would have liked. I think I've had a little bit too many whips on the needles. But not to worry, I shall press on with some of my other things. Before I go into my whips section, I'd just like to let you know something that I think is exciting, and hopefully you will too. I am almost up to 100 subscribers on this YouTube channel for my podcast, which I know is a drop in the ocean for some of those amazing knitting podcasts that we all watch. But for me, it's just astonishing that so many people have tuned into the podcast, obviously liked it, and chosen to subscribe. So I'm absolutely blown away by the fact that it's got up to that many. When I started out, I was a subscriber, and Justin was a subscriber, and a couple of very close friends and family, and I didn't dream that many people would be interested. So the fact that we are almost at 100 is just amazing. So to celebrate in true podcaster fashion, I'd like to do a little giveaway. So what I'd like to do is I'll start a thread on the Ravelry group, and I'd like you to go along there and tell me about your favourite podcasts. So obviously not Bumble Stitches, because that would be silly, but tell me about your favourite podcasts, ones that you watch all the time, people that you feel that have become almost friends even though you don't know them, because I certainly feel that way about some of the podcasts that I've been following for quite a while. The first knitting podcast that I found and watched was Danny of Little Bobbins. I joined it quite late. I was quite late to the party and joined sort of watching at, I'm not sure, probably about episode in the 20s or something like that. Loved it, and immediately went back to the beginning and watched Danny and Bobbin right from the beginning, and sort of binged watch it over the course of about a week. I caught up with all the episodes and loved it. So, it almost gets to the point when you do feel that the people that you're watching are like friends, which is the best thing about it. I think the best thing about the whole knitting and crocheting community is that everyone likes to share. It's a very caring community, and I think that's what attracts so many people to it. People that might not have lots of otherwise contact with people in their day-to-day lives, that share the same passion for all things yarn and fibre and fabric related, and to have that little time with the podcast that you like, I think is really, really special. There's lots of others that I watch all the time. I love the Grocery Girls. They're have me in stitches every time. Yeah, some of their latest episodes have been quite risque, but really, really great. And I just, love the differences between the different characters that are on the podcast. I also like watching Katie at Inside Number 23, the lovely Jules on So Sweet Violet. So there's lots that are my favourites, and I'm adding more to them all the time. So pop along to the thread that I'm going to open on the Ravelry group. Tell me a few of the podcasts that you love, and it might be that by doing that we all find some new ones to follow. And what I will do is I will leave the thread open for, let's say, until I come back from my knitting retreat, which is 2 weeks. I'm going next week, so in 2 weeks time I will close the thread and pick a winner, use a random number generator, and pick a winner from that, and there's a giveaway prize. So the prize is going to be this beautiful sock blank that I got from Kate Celine. She's a fabulous indie dyer on Etsy, and you can see this is absolutely stunning, this sock blank. I do have one of my own, but this is an extra one that I have, which I'd really love to give away to one of you podcast viewers as my way of showing my appreciation. And this is her Rainbow Sherbet colourway, and it's 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. So such fun colours, such a pretty knitted pattern, the way it knits up, and I think it would look amazing when it's knitted up into some socks, or whatever you choose to do with it. I mean, there are 425 meters on here, 100 grams, so you could do a sock head hat, or you could put it incorporate into a shawl, just any way that you would normally with a fingering 4-ply weight yarn. In addition to this, there will be a project bag which will be made by me. Now, it isn't completely made yet. I will share a little bit about that a little bit further on in the podcast, but the prize will be this knitted sock blank and one of my handmade project bags. So hopefully that'll be something that you guys would like to win, and more importantly, I would really like to see what you've got to say about the podcast that you love and enjoy on the Ravelry thread. So yeah, a little giveaway. So thank you so much for subscribing, and let's hope it continues. Right, I'm going to move on now. Just have a little sip of my tea. I've stolen Lulu's cup, so if she's watching this, she's probably going to say, "Mum, that's my cup." Last time I podcast, I made the mistake of not bringing a drink and kept coughing with a tickly throat, so I decided I'm not going to do that again. Okay, so the next items are works in progress, and I'm going to start with my snow melt, which is the mystery knit along, which has been designed by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. And I think we are now up to clue 4 out of 5. I'm playing catch up and I'm still on clue number 3. I'm just going to see if I can hold this up without getting into terrible tangle, which I normally do, without pulling it off my needles. So I don't know if you guys can see. There we go. So it's a bit bunched up on the needles, but hopefully you can get the general idea. So I have started, as I mentioned, I'm into clue 3 at the moment. So from the cast on to the stripy section here was clue 1, and then this lace section here was clue 2. We had a bit of a falling out at clue 2. It would appear that even though this is described as a simple lace section and it's a 10 stitch repeat, and I use lots of stitch markers, it would appear that I cannot count to 10 and I cannot even do simple lace. So we had a big falling out, didn't speak for quite a few days, thought about ripping it out, got cross, and then we made up, and I decided that I wasn't going to rip it all out. there is a small mistake in here, and I'm not going to put, normally I would say here's the mistake, isn't it awful, but I'm not going to do that because I figured that it's just knitting. I'm enjoying doing it. I think it still looks lovely. I love my yarn, I love the pattern, and I'm just going to move on and not worry too much about one tiny mistake in the pattern. If you can spot it, then whoopsie, but I'm hoping that no one will really notice because it's not that obvious after all. So then I've moved on to, from my little stitch marker, which I got from the lovely Tracy at Thimble and Thread Make, which is a little cocoa cup, I don't know if you can see that. Really cute, love that. And I'm now on clue 3, which is a little bit of lace work in the middle, again, as you can see. And these beautiful stripes. I love stripes. I think stripes is probably my most favourite part in a shawl. So yeah, overall not too shabby. I think it's coming on quite nicely, and the colours are working really, really well. The yarn I'm using, just make sure my stitches don't fall off the end of the needles because that would be a bit of a disaster. I'm using 3 yarns. The first, my colour A, which is the section at the cast on here, is this one, which is a Rowan Fine Art yarn. Just a nice neutral, some sort of like caramel tones in there. Didn't have a colourway number or colourway name, just had a number, I believe. Let's have a look in here, see if I can find it. Rowan Fine Art Merino. Oh, I hadn't actually realised that. It's a blend of merino wool, kid mohair and mulberry silk. Okay, I hadn't actually read that properly before. And it is shade 309. It was in the sale bin at John Lewis in Bluewater, and I just grabbed a couple of skeins because I figured that something as neutral as that would be really, really handy. The other 2 yarns are really gorgeous. Now these are from my lovely friend Polly at Paper Stories. These are her tags. She's got an Etsy shop called Paper Stories UK, and she's adding new yarns all the time to her inventory, so do check her out. And the other 2 yarns are, my colourway B is Gilderoy Lockhart, Harry Potter themed colourways. That's absolutely gorgeous. And then alongside that, Nymphadora Tonks. I am in love with this yarn. It is so pretty. The different depths of colour. It really sort of shifts subtly from one to the next. And of course with the other skein, I think it works really, really well. So those are my B and C colour choices. And they're coming into play quite a lot. Oh, wrong side. There we go. They're coming into play quite a lot now. I think they're working really, really well. So that's my snow melt. Clue 4, as I mentioned, is already out. So I'm going to hope to get, I haven't got many rows, about 20 rows left of Clue 3. So I shall try and crack on and get those done. Get on to Clue 4. But, you know, there's no rush. It's not a race. It doesn't bother me too much if I see Instagram pictures of people that are up to the next clue. I actually find it quite helpful because I know then I feel a bit reassured that what I'm doing looks right rather than being a complete mystery. So thank you for all those speedy knitters that have given me little handy hints along the way. I really don't mind seeing those spoilers at all. But it is such a beautiful pattern, and I think I like it so much now I'm knitting it, and now we are friends again, that I think I would consider doing it again in different colourways, or maybe as a gift for somebody. I think it would look nice in blues. But it's such a lovely knit. So that's my next whip. I think considering I did the test knit as well, and things have been so hectic for me lately, in the last 3 weeks since I podcast, I had my work trip to Scotland for a week. which took up quite a lot of time and other things. And for anyone that's watching that lives or has visited Glasgow and driven there, well, you need a medal, because driving in Glasgow I think was one of the most stressful things I've ever done. Anyway, that's a bit of an aside. Right, next work in progress is my speckled shawl, which is another Paris Landloft design. A bit fangirling on her at the moment. I was really hoping to have been up to the Dobby section, but it hasn't happened. But I've got a little tiny bit further. I'm not going to waste too much time showing you this, but it's so very nearly there. It's a case of prioritising and knowing what to knit on each night. And I want to knit on all the things, and I want to stay at home all day and knit and sew and do all the lovely things. And work is very inconvenient because I have to keep doing it every single day. But hey ho, me and millions of other people, it just would be nice to have a bit more time to sit down and get on with some of these projects. I've got a new cast on this week. This is a little cardigan that my mum has asked me to knit for my baby cousin Ava, and she's going to be 4 in about a month's time. And Mum and I had a look on Ravelry and we found this pattern, which is called Fleur Bleu. Seems a bit strange name, Fleur Bleu. But how pretty is that? Really nice detail down the back, a little sort of flared out, almost like a little peplum feature at the back. I might knit the sleeves a bit longer than the 3/4 length. I think they might sort of end up riding up and going above her elbows, and it is still a bit chilly, so I might knit longer sleeves. But it's such a pretty pattern. So I'll show you, there is some detail on the front as well, which I'm going to just find. It is a paid for pattern on Ravelry. The designer is Christelle Nihul. Oh gosh, I probably murdered the pronunciation of that. There we go. I will put notes on the show notes for you. But let's show you there's another little image there, which is really cute. You can see a little bit of detailing down the front. And there's another really cheeky little picture on here, which I found quite sweet. And I can just imagine Ava, because she's a little cheeky chops. I can imagine her with a little face like that. So it's a really pretty little knit with this little lace detail, sort of like a mock cable really, running down the front. I'll show you the yarn. Now, Ava's all about the pink, but she's all about the pink a little bit too much apparently. So we thought we'd mix it up a bit and give her something extra in her choice of colours. So this is the yarn that I'm using. It's Hedgehog Fibres. It's a sock yarn, 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon. I thought again, superwash merino, 10% nylon, a good blend for a 4-year-old that's like a bit of a live wire. And Mum will probably appreciate the fact that she can put this on a gentle wash in the washing machine if she wants. Colourway is called Dove. And it's a really pretty blue with some little tones here, tonal sort of browns, and I think it's a really nice colourway. The pattern suggests that I might need just over 1 skein for the age 4, which I'm doing. So I've caked this one up. You can see in the cake how the colours are working. Really, really pretty. And I love knitting with Hedgehog Fibres yarn. It's just a shame that it's quite difficult to get hold of sometimes. So again, a bit of a learning curve this one. The pattern threw me because the first thing it asked me to do was a provisional crochet cast on, which I had never done before. So I've just got the rest of the yarn caught up in my stitch counter. So this looks a little bit strange, so try and use your imaginations. So this at the top is waste yarn, was the crochet cast on, and I'm now going to attempt to spread it out enough for you guys to see what's going on. So this is the back of the cardie with the lace detail mock cables going down the back. This goes around, this is the shoulder seam here, this will be one of the fronts of the cardie, and then it's just starting to split off here to make the sleeve caps. So it's all worked in one piece, and the same on the other side. The yarn's knitting up really, really well. I think the colour's really pretty. The lace isn't showing up. Oh, there we go. It's not too bad. You can sort of kind of see what's going on there. So it's, yeah, it's starting to come along, starting to take shape. And again, like my Denise shawl, this one has an I-cord bind off around the bottom edges, around the cuffs and the neckline. And I think what I'm going to have to be doing is taking the crochet cast on off and then working from the live stitches at the end. I'm not going to worry about that bit till I get to it, because I'm just going to knit the cardie, knit the sleeves, and then do it, you know, do each part as it comes, because I do tend to sort of stress about things otherwise and panic and worry that I'm not going to be able to do it. So I'm just going to get to that part and then worry about it then. But yeah, it's a really pretty little cardie. I hope I can do it justice. I hope Mum will be pleased with it to give as a gift for Ava's birthday. I hope Ava isn't too disappointed that it isn't pink. And who knows, if it's a big hit, perhaps we can do another one in a pinky version that she'll be super happy with. So that's my next work in progress. Pop that one away. And on my project bag that this is living in, I've got my little sheepy pin, wooden sheep pin. That's also from Paper Stories, from Polly's shop on Etsy. It's so cute. Just thought I'd pop that on there. Okay. Now then, love along socks. Not a lot of love happening there. Got down to, so I'm just reaching across for the bits on the bed. Managed to turn the heel, and there they sit. So they're just languishing really at the moment. At least I have got the knitting retreat coming up, so I can get on with a lot of these. I might try and get some whips finished up there, although I do suspect it'll be a bit like when I used to go on scrapbooking retreats and I'll do far too much talking and eating and drinking and not actually do a whole lot of crafting. So I may, I'm seriously thinking about casting on one of the crochet granny stripe blankets, because it's something I could actually chat and do at the same time without causing any damage to the pattern. Because I think with some of the things I'm knitting at the moment, Ava's cardie would end up with 3 sleeves and it would all go horribly wrong. So I'll take some of the things that I'm working on, but I am seriously considering making one of those magic yarn cakes. You can Google the magic yarn cake tutorial. You basically get lots of scraps left over from previous projects or minis and join them together using the magic knot, which is virtually, well, impossible to undo. Really, really strong. It consists of like 2 double knots which you pull together, and you can trim the loose ends up really, really tight to the knot, and then have one just never-ending ball of yarn, just as long as you care to make it. So you can just crochet along merrily without having to change yarn, sewing in the ends, which is brilliant. So I think that's something I might work on to take away with me. Right, okay, I do have one last whip. Let's have a little sip of this tea before it goes really cold. I'm only showing you this because it's in a new acquisition. Nothing has happened to the project, sadly. This is the bag that I told you all to save me from on Etsy, but nobody did, and it was still there, so I did buy it, and I warned that this would happen. It's beautiful. It's these little children catching fireflies, putting them in jars in the little nets, and I really couldn't resist it. It's from Marie Celeste Stitches on Etsy. I'm just going to try and find her card. There we go, Marie Celeste Stitches on Etsy. Her bags are amazing, guys. If you need a project bag, seriously, she's got all tastes covered. Her bags are beautiful. She sent me a lovely little note. I won't share the note because I don't want to embarrass anybody. It's a lovely little postcard that came from Holland. These lovely cheery tulips. The lady's name is Williamaine. She's very sweet, so check out her bags. This is amazing. I needed a big bag for my Wainthrop sweater is living in here. It's got a cute little carriage on the zipper pull, which is lovely. And it's huge, so I can fit a whole sweater in here. So Wainthrop's living in here. Lovely lining on this bag and her lovely embroidered label. Yeah, I'm not going to get the whole project out and show you. It's all kind of scrunched up. I do want to knit it. I just haven't had time. I was hoping that by popping it in its new home that I would feel all inspired to knit on it again. So I think this one might be coming to the retreat with me. So, but I love my new sweater bag. Amazing. Okay, so that's all the whips. We've kind of moved into acquisitions by showing you that project bag anyway. So what I would also like to show you is, do you remember these mitten blockers? They needed friends. I didn't need new sock blockers, but this happened. Aren't they amazing? I know quite a few people have been getting these at the moment. I saw them first when I bought the mitten blockers at the Yarnporium show back last year in London. They came from the Knitting Shed and I love them, but I couldn't, just budget didn't allow that day to buy these as well. So, and then they were out of stock. Then I kind of forgot about them. Then I saw them again on Jules's podcast, So Sweet Violet. I thought, oh, I really need these in my life. These sock blockers are amazing. So these are my rabbit sock blockers. This is not a new project. These are some Hermione's Everyday Socks that I knitted a while ago on hedgehog fibres in the pistachio colourway. I just popped them on so they could model the bunnies and vice versa. But I think they're really cute. I don't know if they're still in stock at the Knitting Shed, but there they are. Absolutely beautiful. Life's too short not to have amazing bunny sock blockers in your knitting stash. When I received them in the post, I had some more lovely words from Nicola and Louise, who are the ladies at the Knitting Shed, and they sent this little postcard. Now I don't know if you can see, this really caught my eye, and I did see these at the show, but I hadn't really thought about it too much. They do these beautiful kits where you get the pattern and materials to make these little dresses, and the top half is, I'll try and get it a bit closer, top half is knitted and the bottom half is a fabric skirt, and I think they're in Liberty fabrics. I just think they're adorable. This is obviously one of the designs. There are quite a few more. The website is called theknittingshed.com, just at the bottom there. So do check those out. If you've got any little girls in your life that you need to or would like to make something fabulous for, I think this will be such a lovely thing to do. If you're into knitting and sewing, it's lovely to combine both. And I think one of these might be on the cards for either Ava or her little baby sister. When she's a little bit bigger, maybe I'll be doing one of these because I think I'd like to have a go. So that's something else. It's just so nice to get all these little cards and little messages from people. Another little card that I got in the post, I got this little card here, and this came all the way from Colorado from my friend Denise. She's Denise of the Knitting Den podcast, and I hope all you ladies that I've mentioned don't mind me calling you my friends, because I really do feel that you are my friends, even though we've not met. Yeah, it just doesn't seem any other word to describe you all. I think we are all friends now. And she sent me a lovely little card that came in the post yesterday. And I won't tell you what she said, obviously, because that's just her little note to me. But she did mention that it might be nice to get something in the post that wasn't a bill or some sort of junk mail. So yeah, you're so right, Denise. Thank you for that. Really appreciate your little note. And it just all goes back to what we were saying earlier about sort of community and sharing. I think that's what's so nice about what we do. That's actually all the acquisitions. I've been really, really good. I think because I'm saving myself for the retreat, because I'm hoping there's going to be a few things to buy from some of the makers that are there, some yarn, some hand-dyed yarns, and maybe some project bags and stuff like that. So I am saving some pennies for that. I do have some things that will be incoming soon. I signed up for Molly of a Homespun House has started another round of the Harry Potter Yarn Club, which she does in collaboration with Sucra Miniatures. I don't have any of their progress keepers, and I'm really, really needing one. So I figured if I signed up for the club, then I'd get some yarn and a charm for, I think it's April, May and June. So I'm really looking forward to that arriving. I've had Molly's yarn before and it is beautiful, so that's quite exciting. And before that, in March, I've got a skein coming from Tracy at Nora George, which is part of her Great Characters of Literature monthly yarn that she's dyeing at the moment. And I believe for March it's Jo March of Little Women, so really excited to see what that's going to be. So there is yarn incoming, so I do get my fix of fibres. Okay, so that takes us nicely into some sewing that I've been doing. I'm just going to reach across. Now again, lack of time is my biggest problem at the moment, but I did really, really want to start making some project bags. I'm a bit project bag obsessed, as you probably all have realised by watching this podcast. I did put a peep on my Instagram, and this is a bag front, and you can see finally getting to use my little labels that I had made, little Bumble Stitches labels. And this is in, it looks like denim, but it's actually navy blue linen, which is a bit challenging to sew with because it frayed like crazy and want to go wibbly wobbly all over the place. But this has obviously got an interfacing on it now. And these fabrics here are Tilda fabrics I bought some fat quarters of. So yeah, that's a project bag front and a back. So the backs and the fronts are matching. And then lining fabrics for these at the moment, I've got some different lining fabrics, but it's just this little sort of cute taupe coloured star. So I'm going to be making some of these bags up. One will be part of the giveaway prize for the 100 subscriber giveaway. So that will be the yarn, the sock blank, and one of my project bags. I'm not going to send it to you in a kit form. I will actually sew it up and put a zip in it for you. And then ultimately what I would like to do, I'm covered in bits of thread now, what I would really like to do is get some time set aside to sit and sew properly, and get some in an Etsy shop. It's something I wanted to do for a long, long time. So it is slow coming along because of time to actually sit down and do the sewing. But I've figured that I've already got 2 bags at this sort of stage. So I'm hoping that the best way forward is to spend one sort of session doing lots of cutting of fabrics, and then another session of sewing them into fronts and backs, and then another session putting zips in, and kind of do it in, you know, stages. I think that might help. So ultimately, yes, I would like to have some bags in an Etsy shop. And what I might do, if I do have time to make a couple more, I might take some to the Curious Handmade retreat and be really brave and put them up against the like of Danny's bags, and how scary will that be, and just kind of see what they think and see how they go down, and if they like them and if people want to buy them, then yeah, that'll probably be the green light to put them in an Etsy shop for sure. But yeah, it's all a bit of a learning curve for me, really. What I've got to go alongside them, which is super cute, is I popped one on my pincushion because I thought it might be easy to show you. And if you can see the little enamel bee here, I've got some of these which are going to go on little the lobster I can't speak today, lobster claw clasps. It's a bit of a tongue twister, on the zip pulls. So I thought that they would sit quite nicely. I've got a spare one here. I'm going to do this trying to hold up a million things now. And so I just thought the little bee on the zip pull with my tag, I thought it'd be quite nice. So I'll keep you all posted with news of how I get on. The biggest thing that's stopping me at the moment is space to sew. I have to get the sewing machine out on the table that we eat on every night, and then obviously have to clear it all away. I just need to have a bit of a declutter, a reorganise, and get myself some sewing space so I can sit and, you know, properly crack on and get some things done and made. I've got lots of lovely fabrics. I'm even thinking of doing some with some recycled denim. I don't know how hard that would be to sew. It might get a bit thick on the seams. I'd have to practice a little bit, and I've got lots of fabrics. I really like the patchwork look, so lots of them will probably involve patchwork. Yeah, so just watch this space, and hopefully I will get an Etsy shop up and running and let you guys all know. I think I've probably spoken far too long today. It's probably the longest podcast I've done, so sorry if I've bored you all to tears. I'm going to close off now just by saying I'm really looking forward to Monday week when I go away. I'm looking forward to next week in general because I've got a birthday coming up, which is a bit of a big birthday. So yeah, but I am looking forward to it. Looking forward to spending lots of time with some friends that I haven't met yet, people that I feel like I know already. Hopefully I don't go all gushy and fangirly when I get to the retreat. Hoping to get some more sewing done, some more knitting done. Please, please, please go over to the Ravelry group. Join in, tell me about your favourite podcast. You'll be entered into the giveaway. You will get a finished project bag. You'll get the sock blank. And just thank you all so, so much. And before I go, I just want to give a little wave to, hi Luca. Luca's our youngest viewer. He is my baby cousin, and he is just coming up to 5 months old, and apparently he recognises me from being on the big telly when he watches the podcast with his nanny. So hi Luca. Okay, I'll see you all soon, hopefully next week before I go away, but take care and happy knitting. Bye.